Most of us didn't first learn Christmas from reading the Gospels closely. We learned a blended version. Shepherds, wise men, angels, a stable, a star, all gathered into one perfect scene. It's beautiful, and it has shaped how generations imagine the story. But when you actually open the texts, the picture becomes stranger, less tidy, and much more human. The birth of Jesus doesn't come to us as one polished report. It comes as several voices, remembering the same mystery in different ways.
Once you read the Gospels separately, something surprising happens. Mark says nothing about the birth at all. John doesn't give us a manger scene either. Only Matthew and Luke tell a Christmas story, and even they tell it very differently. They don't sound like two people copying from the same page. They sound more like two witnesses standing in front of the same event, but seeing different things, noticing different details, and telling the story for different reasons.
Read Matthew and Luke back to back, and it can almost feel like they're answering each other. One says, "This is how it happened." The other seems to say, "Let me tell it another way." Even outside the birth story, they have different temperaments. Matthew often sounds sharper, more severe, more focused on judgment. Luke is often warmer, more intimate, more drawn to the vulnerable. So when they tell the story of Jesus' birth, the difference isn't minor. It shapes the whole atmosphere.
In Matthew, Christmas enters history under pressure. His story begins with genealogy, fathers, kings, exile, promise. This is not just a birth. It is Israel's long memory moving toward a child. Then come dreams, warnings, fear, and political danger. Herod hears about a child and reacts the way tyrants often do, with violence. Rachel weeps. Soldiers move toward Bethlehem. A family escapes into Egypt. Matthew's Christmas is not soft or sentimental. It is a story about power sensing a threat.
Luke gives us a very different world. His story opens with a census, a road, a young couple trying to find shelter. Rome is there, of course. Empire is there. But Luke's real focus is on ordinary people living under it. A woman close to giving birth. A husband trying and failing to find a room. A child laid in a feeding place because life doesn't wait for perfect conditions. And when the news is announced, it doesn't first go to kings or officials. It goes to shepherds. This is one of the biggest differences between Matthew and Luke. Matthew tells the birth as part of a national drama. Abraham, David, exile, prophecy, the fate of a people. Luke places the story inside the Roman world, but keeps bringing us back to the smallest human scale. Not history from above, but history as it feels when you are tired, poor, and trying to protect your family. Rome counts bodies. Luke notices faces. The empire wants order. Luke gives us people. Luke isn't naive about power. The empire organizes the world, issues decrees, collects taxes, and calls that peace. But beneath that order are the people who actually have to walk, carry, wait, and endure. Luke keeps insisting that these people are not background. Mary's song is full of reversal. The proud brought low, the humble lifted up, the hungry filled, the rich sent away empty. In Luke, the universal scale of the story
and the dignity of the poor belong together. There's another contrast that's easy to miss. In Matthew, Christmas mostly unfolds through Joseph. The angel speaks to Joseph. The decisions are Joseph's. The warnings come to Joseph. Mary is present, but the story leans toward the male guardian who must act. In Luke, the center shifts. Now the story belongs to women, Elizabeth, Mary, their meeting, their voices, their inner lives. Their husbands are still there, but they stand more in the background.
If we expect the Gospels to read like modern investigative files, we'll miss what they're doing. Matthew reads the birth through prophecy, but not with modern precision. A child is called Emmanuel in prophecy, and Jesus in the story. A voice is heard in Ramah, while mourning unfolds around Bethlehem. It can feel uneven, but human memory is uneven. Symbolic truth often works through echoes, not exact paperwork. Matthew is not writing a police report. He is reading the birth through the memory of a people. Then there is Nazareth, small, forgettable, provincial. In John's Gospel, when someone says, "We have found him, Jesus, son of Joseph, from Nazareth," the response is immediate. What good can come from Nazareth? It's such a human line. Everyone understands it. Every culture has places like that. Towns people dismiss, regions people mock, names that sound like insignificance. Nazareth becomes more than geography. It becomes a symbol of everything the world overlooks. John does not tell the Christmas story the way Matthew and Luke do. No census, no Bethlehem road, no shepherds, no massacre. And that absence matters. Maybe John doesn't know those traditions. Maybe he does know them and doesn't think repeating them is the point. John seems interested in something deeper than birthplace. Who is this person? What happens when people meet him? Even that line, Jesus, son of Joseph, from Nazareth, feels like John leaving the tension in the open. Anyone who has lived long enough knows this. The same event becomes different stories in different mouths. Not because people are always lying, but because they are human. One person remembers fear. Another remembers tenderness. One remembers the room. Another remembers the meaning. Families do this all the time. One childhood moment can be told 3 different ways, each sincere, each incomplete. Memory doesn't work like a camera. It works like a soul. There is a kind of truth that belongs to a police report. A time, a place, a sequence, a verified chain of events. That kind of truth matters, but it isn't the only kind human beings live by. When people talk about a dead parent, a broken marriage, or the day a child was born, they rarely speak like investigators. They tell you what mattered. They shape memory around meaning. Truth is not always a police report. Sometimes it comes as a story that reveals the soul of an event. This is also why later Christian art adds details the Gospels never actually mention. The ox and the donkey appear beside the child. A cave becomes the setting. In some icons, Joseph is shown being tempted by doubt. These are not journalistic corrections. They are acts of meditation. They show how communities sit with a sacred story and keep thinking through it.
Symbol does not automatically mean falsehood. Sometimes, symbol is how a culture thinks with its heart.
Even the genealogies refuse to behave neatly. Matthew and Luke both trace lines of descent, but they do not match cleanly. The names diverge, the structure changes, the point changes. Matthew builds a carefully shaped pattern from Abraham to David to exile to Messiah. Luke moves backward through history, all the way to Adam, and then to God. These are not just family records. They are arguments about meaning. They are saying different things about who Jesus is. The tension gets even sharper when you notice that both genealogies are, in one sense, Joseph's. And yet both Matthew and Luke also tell a story in which Joseph is not the father in the usual biological sense. The contradiction is not hidden. It sits there in plain view. In the ancient world, fatherhood was not just biological. There was legal fatherhood, social fatherhood, remembered fatherhood. The Gospels know that tension, and they keep it. This is where the contradictions become surprisingly powerful. Invented stories often line up too perfectly. They're polished, consistent, and protected from awkward detail. Real human testimony is usually messier. It overlaps without fully merging. It repeats with variation. That doesn't automatically prove every claim, but it does sound like life. Matthew and Luke differ not just in decoration, but in tone, sequence, and emphasis. And yet both feel whole in their own way. That is exactly what real voices often sound like. What may be most striking is that later Christians preserved this tension. They could have flattened it. They could have produced one clean, official version of the birth story, one approved timeline, one safe arrangement of shepherds, magi, Egypt, Bethlehem, Nazareth, and the star. It would have been easy. Instead, the church kept Matthew and Luke exactly as they were, along with Mark's silence and John's distance. That suggests something important. Early Christians did not think unity required uniformity. A living truth is rarely one flat voice. It is polyphonic. Several voices, different tones, one meaning no single account can fully contain on its own. That is true in music. It is true in literature. It is true in memory. And maybe that is true here too. 4 Gospels, one figure, many angles of vision. They don't cancel each other out. They deepen each other. Not by removing the tension, but by letting it remain part of the meaning. This may be the most moving part of all. The Gospel writers do not feel like machines taking dictation. They feel like people. Different kinds of people. Matthew hears history through judgment and fulfillment. Luke notices women, the poor, and the dignity of ordinary lives. John can sound almost amused by literalism, then suddenly opens something vast and mysterious. You can feel personality in the writing, temperament, perspective. That is not a flaw in inspiration. It is what inspiration looks like when it passes through real human lives. Maybe this is why the birth story still matters. Not because it can be forced into one perfect timeline, but because it resists that. Christmas is tenderness and terror at the same time, empire and obscurity, a threatened throne and a tired mother, prophecy and poverty, Bethlehem and Nazareth,
a child announced with hope, and a family living close to danger. The question still hangs in the air. What good can come from Nazareth? The Gospels answer not with a theory, but with a person. So maybe the contradictions are not cracks to hide, but openings through which the text becomes more human. Not a flat report, not propaganda, but memory, witness, symbol, conflict, and meaning held together. The birth of Jesus comes to us the way many important things in life come to us, through more than one telling. And maybe that makes sense. Living truth is layered, it is choral, it is alive. Sometimes the most world-changing story begins exactly where no one expects it, in a forgotten place, among ordinary people, in a town others dismiss. Nazareth. And still, somehow, something good comes from there.
Some stories survive because people continue returning to them. If these conversations matter to you, you're welcome to continue the journey with us. Subscribe for more historical, philosophical, and biblical explorations. And thank you for watching.